Welcome back to SOS. I'm Staff Sergeant Badass.
Sippy cup.
And today we're going to talk about a round pizza going into a square box. So I get asked a lot of questions. That's where this comes from. I got asked a bunch of questions when I was in the Marine Corps, and ever since then I've always kind of chuckled when someone asks me a bunch of random questions over and over again. You know, how many flavors does Baskin Robbins have? Do you know?
31.
Is it 31? I would say 32. See, I'd be way off. But anyways, was it 31? I think it is 31.
Flavors.
Someone's going to answer, I'm sure. Then it's like, how many licks it take to get the Tootsie Roll Pop? 3 is what I always saw in the commercials. And then one of the ones that I would get asked, hey, it's like when I was in the Marine Corps, somebody would ask me, hey, Staff Sergeant, if everyone gets off the bus, who shuts the door? There's no handle on the right outside, right? You know, these kind of questions I get asked some pretty strange questions. The one that always gets asked, I mean, it's like Billy walks in the room. Hey, Staff Sergeant Badass, what kind of radio do you use at the beginning of your show every time you do an episode? It never gets old. I reply, I answer multiple times every time I make a video, and yeah. on that one. A lot. But these questions also go into reality and theory. You know, theory and reality. This is stuff that we've just been kind of thinking about. And I just wanted to call this one something weird because it's just a bunch of weird stuff that we experience, or some people just don't care to know it. They don't know and they don't care. You know, it's like the whole camping scene. You want to talk about some of that stuff, like the camping stuff? Well,
I reflect back to my childhood when we camped. We didn't use these little pop-up tents, or we didn't use feather-down air mattresses. Just kidding. We just had a sleeping bag or pillows and a tent that took my dad 10 hours to put up because it was like the huge 3-bedroom tent, because I come from a family, there's 7 of us total, so yeah, the plastic and metal stakes that you had to drive into the hard ground, and pretty much just, we'd camp. There wasn't really any showers. Yeah, there was some bathrooms, but usually we try and camp in an area where there was some running water, so we could make our own homestead showers. But now I just see, you go to REI or those major camping, backpacking places where they got all sorts of gadgets and gizmos that are supposed to help you and make life easier. But in all reality, when you're preparing for disasters, that stuff is not going to prepare you for the reality of how hard it is. You're not going to want to take those heavy blow-up mattresses. Those things weigh a ton. And you're not going to have time to blow them up. You are going to be way too busy spending that precious time you have before the sun goes down getting the shelter up, getting other things situated.
She's actually talking about this because there was emails. And she's replying, sort of. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. This is stuff I hear. People would actually bring a blow-up mattress. I'm not kidding. So yeah, you need to hear this.
But it just got me thinking, comparing camping when I grew up to the camping now that our children, and I see, and when we go to camp, like the campgrounds, how many people have their electronic devices out still?
A lot.
Come on, people, you're camping. You're supposed to get out there.
Unplug.
Just get out there in all the roughness and the hard terrain, and just, you're getting a dose of a different environment than your luxurious house that you have. It doesn't matter if you're still living in a small little shanty. You still got you got a mattress on your back. That's a lot more comfort than most people have, and that's, camping's supposed to help improve your survival skills. And I just think there's way too many of these contraptions coming out that just are going to make you stupid. Like you got to have fire to make fire.
You got to have fire to make fire. Yeah, that was interesting. There's a few things that and people would put that in their kits, and that's just why I wanted to bring it and show you. Normally, I wouldn't take all that stuff with me, and I've told you before, and I said, hey, look, I'll be the one. I'll be that guy, and I'll take all this stuff with me, and I'll show you that you don't need it, and I'll show you why you don't need it. You can use this. It works just as good, and that's the only one thing you need to focus on. You know it works. If it's a piece of flint, hits it, boom, it goes up in smoke. And it lights your fire. That's all you need. And if you don't need all this other stuff, and the other thing she's kind of touching on that we get a lot is the experience of a bug out. The experience of getting off the grid, or the experience whatever they wanted to do. They wanted to do it for like 3 days or a week or maybe 2, maybe 1. They wanted to go out there and see if they could survive it. But they bring all these comfort items with them, and they make it comfortable and nice and comfortable. Or they stay at a park, a state park or whatever. I know I get the point, but get as far away from the showers as possible, right? Let's stay away from the showers. I mean, because a lot of state parks have showers and bathrooms and all that stuff. Well, I had to go pee in the bathroom, No, go way out that way. Go do it out there. Don't do it there. I'm not trying to get you listed as a registered sex offender or anything, because I know the state of California is pretty weird about that stuff. So. And unfortunately for you, you can't rough it as rough as most people unless you go out to the desert. We know that part. But anyways, the experiencing of a scenario. Hey, look, me, wife, kids, we need to go experience a scenario, and we're going to go do it in as rough conditions as we can. Some things you can't do as rough conditions as some, like what me and Guns did, most people cannot do. It's going to be impossible for them to do, and the type of scenarios that we play are a little bit different. There's no bathrooms, there's no nothing, and we do away with hammocks. We do away with hammocks. In a real SHTF scenario, real, and a world without rule of law, when you get into all that stuff, and you're not going to possibly have hammock, you're possibly not going to have a shelter. You're possibly not going to have a lot of things. You might get lucky, but some people who think that they can, this goes back to Great Scott's comment, and I really appreciate these guys and gals that leave these comments. It's awesome. But just kind of like what he was saying in one of his comments is, the people that think that they can just grab a rifle, their firearm, and throw a bag on their back and wander off into the woods and survive. It's not going to play out quite the way they think. And days later, in a real SHTF scenario, in a really bad scenario, these folks are not going to be safe. The slightest bit of smoke coming from their camp is going to get them killed. The slightest bit of smell of food coming from their camp is going to get them killed. Not by critters, but by people. Billy's going to roll up with a 45, and Billy's going to take your whole family down and take all what gear you have, or take your camp. They might just kick your corpses off to the side and just start sleeping in your camp. Hey, new camp, new place to stay. But you're going to have to be watchful of your kids. You're going to have to, security is going to be high. You're going to have to secure your place. You're going to have to watch. Those people who think they can do it alone can't. Sheer numbers is going to help. You're not going to be able to be alone and build a campfire. I'm going to build this campfire, and I'm going to start cooking my food and everything. You're going to be cooking your food, and you're going to hear a click, click, and a gun's going to be pointed to the back of your skull, and it's not going to play out quite the way you thought it was going to play out. And you are not a ninja, you know what I mean? You're not going to, I guarantee you, Billy probably has a sidekick. Billy's probably not alone. He's playing the rules, of the rules of the end times.
Well, yeah, if you're alone and you end up getting even an injury, who's there to help?
Yep. Nobody thinks about critters. They never think about critters. Never. They never think about bugs. I got ate up by ticks,
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, how many of you know how to remove a tick without getting sick?
An infection.
And infection. There you go.
Don't get the head out, you've got a good chance of getting an infection. And, you know, you have up to 48 hours to remove ticks as well. For them to release any type of disease, it's very slow process. So it's nice with that. At least you're given some time. So that's why it's important to make sure that you check yourself every single day for ticks, because that way you're not giving them the opportunity to infect you with Rocky Mountain fever.
It's
Lyme
Rocky
disease.
Mountain oyster fever.
Oyster fever.
It's a running joke between me and Scott.
Good for you.
So ridiculous. The other thing, it's kind of like Monsters Inside Me. Remember that episode where the dude's like out in the woods? He's got his bow. He's trying to hunt for a deer. And he slips, falls. His hands land on a place where raccoons had pooped.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like rubbing his eye, you know, whatever. And then come to find out, he starts getting like brain damage or something, like brain activity weirdness going on. And worms were eating his brain, and they had to, they treated him, they took care of him. But the fact is, he almost died, you know. He started going blind and all sorts of weird stuff. But there's stuff out there, I'm just saying. That's just a couple of different things. I mean, we could go on and on about this stuff. Yeah. And there's things out there. You live in a world, you know, with your walls, you know, your air-conditioned house, or, you might have your windows up. I don't know what you got, what kind of shanty you live in. Our shanty's from the 40s, and we still have AC. So, but it's a little different for some people, and you live in that environment and you're safe. But the minute you step out of that environment and into a world of the unknown, and like some people have said, you know, you could train your whole life and not be ready. Just not be ready. But, you know, it's worth a shot. You have more of a chance. Mm-hmm. You do have more of a chance than others that didn't. You know, you can get yourself just a little bit closer by training. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to touch on? I think that about covers some of that stuff that's just kind of, you know, I get quite, like I said, I get some strange questions. This are all, believe it or not, this stuff come from questions and also from comments. And, you know, I wanted to throw someone else's comment out there. I wanted to give them a shot, you know, that they actually gave me that. So I wanted to share it with you. And I get that sometimes, and I'll do that. It's always good to read another person's comment and just kind of shout it out onto the YouTube like that. Mm-hmm. What you think? I'm thinking like for us, it's kind of like it goes back to camping trips with the family, you know, all of us, and the difference it is. You know, I'm not going to take my 1-year-old, my 3-year-old, and my 5-year-old, and I'm not going to take them with me on a 20-mile hike. I'm not doing it. You know, I'm just not doing it. It would be impossible. It would be impossible. But it would be possible with less equipment. But what's going to happen? You know, you start thinking about that. If in an SHTF scenario, someone's having to carry kids, I see a person, kids are important, gear less important. And I'm seeing a person stop and throw stuff out of their bag. I'm seeing it. It's going to happen. They're going to be trying to carry that 1-year-old or, you know, infant or toddler, whatever the case is, you know, whichever one is you've got there, you know, or take care of some other kids that can't keep up. And you're going to stop and start throwing stuff out of your bag.
I mean, you don't need to get those expensive, heavy harnesses. All you need is just something good to swaddle and tie them up, throw them on your back. Yeah,
I mean, you can get anything. I mean,
put them on the front, your gear's on the back.
I had one of those, like the little net that I had, like that, it was like the fishing net. The fishing net, little Ellie Ninja, she's 1, and I could put her in that little fish net and carry her around my neck and wouldn't even know it. She's giggling the whole time. So she thought that was hilarious, and it's something else you can do. A bag, sack, satchel, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
There's different ways you can do it, but it's stuff to think about.
Just stuff to think about.
It's just stuff to think. Not go and do it, But if you want to practice, there you go. But I'm sure, but if you have that stuff on standby and ready, then keep it with your bug out plan, your contingency plan. What do I do with kids? Weight is going to be an issue. Oh, one more thing we forgot to talk about. Those, you know how how you got like the dude out there that's like hardcore prepping and he's making the bag and everything, but he forgets about his wife and kids. Yeah. Remember that scenario? Yeah. That was another one. It was just like the person's just totally preparing and whatever. My wife didn't want to get involved, so I just left her out of the whole scenario. But I'm getting my stuff together because I'm planning on taking care of everyone out of my bag.
We hope that for those who don't have family that are on the same wavelength with them, that at least you're making bags for them and you're not going to give them a choice. You'd be like, either you carry your weight or you're going to die. Mm-hmm. Carry your gear or die, pretty much. And
if anything, get them a bag that's standard, food and water.
Yeah.
There you go. Food, water, first aid. Put a little IFAC in there with it. There they go. That way you can carry, the survival knife and, whatever it is you need, a machete or whatever you got. You can carry that stuff and they can carry that other stuff. And then you can worry about keeping them alive. But they have food.
Yeah, they got their own food, sets of clothes, their own sleeping bag.
All that stuff that they need to just make sure that they can stay up. Their own whatever, for that stuff. That's a great idea for that situation. That was the other scenario we were discussing. Mm-hmm. At least do that for them and not just, oh, I'm the only one who does this stuff, so, I'm on my own here. I'm going to have to take care of all of them. I've heard that scenario a lot, especially commented to me. So there's that one.
Yeah.
Was there another one? Did I miss one? I want to make sure I didn't miss one before I get off here. And then I'm like, man, I missed that one. That one's a good one. We did, Guns and I did some freeze-dried food, but I'm not posting the video because it's just cooking some freeze-dried food and it's no big deal. So that's one you won't see, and that's the end of it. So that's the end of the whole series for that. There you go. Now you know. This marks the ending, and I'm posting this today. And if you see this, it was the ending of that trip. So we're just kind of making a comeback. Sippy Cup and I, and we're right here, and T-Rex is right there. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of letting you know we're done with that. So that's why we're posting this video right now. That's pretty much it. That's all I got. Okay, you're watching SOS. I am Staff Sergeant Badass.
Sippy Cup.
And have a beautiful, fabulous sunshine, rainbow, unicorn, leprechaun. Anything else?
Captain Crunch Day.
Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch is cool. Remember, if the pizza is round, why is the box square? Take it easy.